New exit poll data among Indiana Republicans, almost 60% said they want the next president to be from outside the political establishment. Among those, 78% voted for Donald Trump. Let's bring in political analyst and Stirk founding president Scott Rasmussen. Good to have you here this morning, sir.
Great to be here, Sandra.
Great to have you. I guess the question we want to ask you this morning, both Cruz and Trump claim to be political outsiders, but voters overwhelmingly say that Trump is the true outsider.
Of course. He's never held office. He says all the things that politicians will never say, like, I give money to candidates because I expect favors.
Okay.
You know, this is a guy who refused to say he would stay in the Republican Party in the very first debate unless things went his way. He is an outsider. And I think what people in the political world have missed, totally and completely missed, is that
they missed a lot.
Well, they missed a lot.
Nobody really called for this.
At the core level, what they missed is that they look at Donald Trump and say he's unqualified. And by the way, they say the same about Bernie Sanders. He's not qualified to be president. And voters are saying nobody could do any worse than the gang that's been running things for the last 20 years.
And fair enough.
Sure, there's a lot of reasons to believe that. And so this skepticism, this desire for something outside the system had to happen in some way. Now, look, 6 months ago, I was on with everybody else saying Donald Trump couldn't do it. I thought he might make Ted Cruz acceptable to the establishment. Instead, what he did is he made Cruz part of the establishment.
So you were looking at this data more closely than anybody sitting here. What are you looking at as far as a general election matchup, Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton? Because the polls up till now have shown that Hillary Clinton has a better chance of beating Donald Trump.
The polls right now do not mean anything.
Whoa, that's from Scott Rasmussen.
Yes. Well, you know, look, I'm a recovering pollster. I did this a couple of years ago.
We forgive you for your past sins.
But we're in a situation, we're in uncharted waters. I could easily make a case that Donald Trump, as the nominee, will get beat by 15 points. I could make a case that it will be close.
He could win him.
Wait, you're not putting a third option there as he beats Hillary by 15 points?
Actually, he could.
Okay.
Or he could beat Bernie by 15 points. Right. I mean, it is so unsettled right now. We're not sure.
Okay, so let's go there for a second. Bernie Sanders, does he have a chance? Is it realistic to even continue the conversation about a potential Bernie Sanders nomination?
I think I would say 10% chance.
Okay.
And look, superdelegates can switch depending on what happens. And last night was a surprise.
Scott, in terms of, just really quickly, in terms of the polls, though, one poll that is valid is how voters view Trump as a standalone individual and Clinton. His unfavorables among voters nationwide are at 65%. Hers are at 56%. No, hers are at 56%.
Yeah, but those are pretty high.
So it's high. But again, when his are almost 10 percentage points higher, that's notable.
Absolutely. And look, this is a New Jersey-style election. We have governors elected all the time that we don't like. You know, Chris Christie's numbers were underwater when he was elected because that's part of what you expect. People are rejecting the political system. I think the biggest danger that Hillary Clinton has, other than the fact that she's a lousy campaigner, is that she is the wrong person for this moment in time. She is the embodiment of the last 20 years.
All right, so you just mentioned Chris Christie.
Yeah.
And at this point in the game, everybody's wondering, and Lenore, you can weigh in on this as well, everybody's starting to wonder who a VP candidate might be, who Donald Trump might be tapping for that. Any ideas?
No idea. I think the bigger question is who will be willing to accept it.
Who's going to take it?
Right.
Oh, I think they'll accept.
No, I think they will accept only.
All
right, so who's going to be?
Look, I always thought Kasich was playing to be vice president, but he made these comments in the last few days where he just basically said, I don't want no part of this. But here's the interesting thing about this. You know, this election last night in Indiana, on the Democratic side, I think is important. I mean, here you've got the presumptive Democratic nominee that is still losing primaries in a kind of heartland state. And it suggests to me, Scott, voters don't really want Hillary. I mean, she's got big problems of her own, and that's why I disagree a little bit with you. You're right, Trump has huge negatives, but Hillary, and what is her message?
Look, last August, I wrote a column and said voters fear Bush Clinton more than they fear Trump Sanders. And that's where we are. Yeah. People are looking to throw the bums out. They'd be happy to throw out all 435 members of Congress.
The thing that helps who are there. The thing that helps Trump, though, is who would have thought that he now is the presumptive nominee, and he gets, there are no more negatives thrown at him potentially by other Republicans. Hillary's unfavorables could get worse because she's still got Sanders on the trail and all his supporters who don't like her.
And Dagan, we're missing something, too, about the primary process. For all the complaints about it, it has helped Donald Trump establish legitimacy. He went from underperforming the polls against a crowded field. He ends up winning a majority in Indiana, which people say he couldn't do.
Remember when people said, yeah, he can't win 50%. Well, he's won 50% in the last, seven races.
Right. Gosh, you guys are all riled up about this. And by the way, as far as the VP pick for Donald Trump, we've got Dr. Ben Carson coming up in the next hour, and we'll certainly ask him if he has any ideas. Maybe it's him. I don't know.
Ask him if he'd take it.
Great. We will do that. All right, Scott Rasmussen, thank you. And good to see you.